kazano ne postoji ni jedna serija koja je toliko utjecala na politiku, društvo, pa čak i na ekonomiju, kao kultna i jedna od najgledanijih serija današnjice Game of Thrones HBO-a. Nalazimo se u Monte Carlo gdje smo dobili priliku ekskluzivno razgovarati sa zvijezdom serije Liamom Cunninghamom, inače velikim obožavateljem Formule 1 i Monte Carla, iako privatno kaže ne voli glamur. Liam, welcome to Balkan Cafe, and thank you so much to agree to this interview. I can imagine you have a crazy schedule here in Monaco, so I took a bit of this glamorous time that you enjoy here.
Yes, well, I've just come from Cannes, and as you can hear from my voice, I've probably been having too much of a good time, and I love Formula 1. I really love it. I think it's my favourite sport. I'm not really interested in football or anything like that. The cars, sexy, love it.
Tako se ovaj slavni glumac pridružio mnogim svjetskim zvijezdama koje svake godine okrune kraj Canskog filmskog festivala sa glamuroznim Formula vikendom u Monaku.
Being a fan of Formula 1, does it mean that privately you are also a fan of the cars, or you drive more safely? Be honest, Liam.
Yeah, so I'd love to be driving a Ferrari. Unfortunately, I drive a Volvo, so that makes me drive slow. But I wish, I would love to drive one of these. I'd very much love to.
So you live much simpler life than Monte Carlo glamour.
Yes, yes. I go home on Tuesday from this glamorous life. On Wednesday, I have to put the rubbish out. I live a simple life. You know what Jack Nicholson called Monaco? He called it Alcatraz for the rich. It's right, it's true. They're all locked in here. It's like an open prison, an expensive prison.
Liama Cunningtona, koji u seriji glumi Sir Davosa Seawortha, Igra prijestolja vinula je sa Irske na svjetsku scenu. Ova serija, nastala kao adaptacija novela Pjesme vatre i leda, uspjela je privući rekordan broj gledatelja, te mnoge slavne fanove kao što su kraljica Elizabeta, Barack Obama, Madonna, Jennifer Lawrence i brojni drugi.
Being part of one of the, most legendary TV series in a decade, how did it change your life?
I think there's a lot more people recognize me now. I used to be able to slip through place, but it's very strange because you can be in different places. I was in Sydney in Australia for the first time last year, and you walk into a strange place and people go, hi, and you've never been there before. It's kind of still messes with my head.
You started as an electrician. How was it to switch from electrician, to a world of film, of acting, of glamour and everything?
I still find it strange, and I'm 25 years acting. I still find it very strange that people even want to employ me. I don't know, I just try to do my job. I try to keep it very simple, and I try to be honest.
You were working in Zimbabwe, right?
Yeah, I was there for 3.5 years. That's how I became an actor. I came back from Africa to do my job in Dublin, and I got really bored at it. I wanted to try something else. I started acting for a hobby, but I fell in love with it.
No nije uvijek tako jednostavno glumcima ove serije, pogotovo ako uzmemo u obzir da Igra prijestolja ima najveće i najspecifičnije fanatike. Tako postoje slučajevi da su ljudi nazvali svoju djecu po znanstveno-fantastičnim likovima iz serije, potom su fanovi plaćali oko 25.000 eura da bi bili spomenuti i ubijeni u knjizi, a neki pak rade vjenčanja sa tematikom Igre prijestolja.
Some of them know more about the show than I do, and I'm in it. But it's amazing. It's from young people right up. It's not just one particular group. Although the geeks are very big, the nerds are very big on this show.
No! Oh! What was the craziest thing that you experienced of some fan or that you've seen?
I can answer that. I was in Sao Paulo a year and a half ago, and I had a fan faint in front of me. I was signing something and she just went. Yeah. So
what did you do?
I grabbed her. I had to. She was going to hit the ground. Myself and a photographer had to grab her. She fainted. I now know what it feels like to be in a boy band.
Ova slavna serija razara sve rekorde i po ilegalnom skidanju, pa je tako primjerice samo posljednja epizoda u prvih 12 sati skinuta u 2,5 milijuna primjeraka. Stoga i ne čudi da je Igra prijestolja osvojila brojne televizijske nagrade, od kojih i nekoliko Emmija, a napravljen je čak i musical humanitarne prirode u suradnji s Coldplayom. Sadržaj koji se temelji na borbi moći za mnoge predstavlja presliku današnjice.
There is a parallel between the show and the reality in today's world. What is it?
I think certainly for politicians in the political world, the show is about power and paranoia and legacy and family, and I think a lot of people really like it because it's complicated and it shows how power can mess up your head, mess up your life. It's not always a positive thing to be in control. Sometimes it's a very, very negative thing.
Do you think that world is controlled a lot by politicians and by certain groups?
Now, certain groups, yeah, the banks. Unfortunately, I think the people who run the banks are trying to destroy democracy because it's in their interest to make money, not to have democracy. And I think you can see the people in our show, the powerful people are the people with the money, not the people with the votes.
Game of Thrones poznata je i po najeksplicitnijim scenama u povijesti televizije, od velike količine golotinje, psovanja i nasilja.
In the show we can see a lot of violence and the sexual violence. How do you think it influences young people?
Well, it lets them know the horror, because most of the time we see little tiny bits of information on the news or read something in a newspaper. It doesn't hit your heart, your spirit. When you show it on a movie and the reality of the sexual violence or oppression or war, I think it's a very good way of explaining how much we should never, ever go there. Never, you have no right to hurt people, ever. Anybody has no right to do that.
Speaking about violence, as we said before, we had one example now in Croatia that one model was drugged and possibly raped while young people were filming her and exposed her to make themselves, look big, to feed their ego or something. How do you comment that?
Well, it's terrible that anybody's exploited or anybody does something to somebody that isn't a willing participant. That's awful. I think it happens a lot. I think it happens more than we know. It's not filmed most of the time. It's disgusting. That's a humiliation of somebody, and you have no right to do that. You remove somebody's dignity, and it's disgusting. But these are young, drunken idiots who got themselves in trouble. They're in big trouble for doing that. And maybe it's a good lesson for other guys when they see it. We're not going to do any of it. Maybe. It's unfortunate that woman.
Kultna serija koja je snimana u Sjevernoj Irskoj, Škotskoj, SAD-u, Maroku i Islandu, snimana je i na lokacijama u Hrvatskoj, najvećim dijelom u Dubrovniku, u kojeg dolazi sve više ljubitelja ove serije. Slavni magazin Forbes objavio je da je Game of Thrones pretvorio Hrvatsku u kraljevstvo turizma.
Loved Dubrovnik, but I don't film there. But I was there. I went to the Sarajevo Film Festival, and they brought us as a thank you to Dubrovnik, the old city, and we went out on some boats, and it was just what a beautiful place.
How did you like Sarajevo?
I love Sarajevo. Well, I follow the war and all that, and I knew a little bit about it, and so when I was invited, I was very, very happy to go and just be there. And I visited. I went around to the tunnels, and I talked to some various people when I was there, because they went through a horrific time. So did Croatia. Yeah. Horrible, horrible time, war, when people turned on each other. But I watched it. I'm old enough to remember when Tito was there and when that all fell apart. So I watched it falling apart. It was horrific, horrific. And it's just wonderful that you can, in Sarajevo, that you can have a film festival. It's wonderful that in Croatia now Game of Thrones is there. It's peaceful and beautiful, and the people are fantastic, and I should get there more.
I think so. Yeah. You're invited now.
Thank you. From you I will take that invitation, Fani.
Nakon Liama Cunningtona iz serije Games of Thrones donosimo vam ekskluzivnu priču o Stardust draguljarnici iz Monte Carla, čiji unikatni komadi nakita koštaju i po nekoliko milijuna eura.